I have to admit. Okay. Magandang gabi mga kababayan at welcome sa Pinoy Facebook Live. But before, of course, we start the program, hihintayin lang po natin ulit ang ating guests. We were actually talking to them a while ago. Nag-uusap lang sila. So, bago of course tayo mag-umpisa, dahil extra special ang gabing ito, we will be joined tonight by our section editor, Ms. Jean Estrabon. Ms. Jean, bumati ka muna habang hinihintay natin ang ating dalawang guest.
Hi, good evening everyone. Sana you stay put para pakinggan ang buong interview. This is a good opportunity for our doctors and our medical students. So join in. Good evening everyone.
Ayan. So bati ulit tayo because Mac is here and I guess...
Hi, yeah, Dr. Chrzanowski will be...
Okay.
Again.
So, bago tayo, habang magtagalog muna tayo, habang hinihintay natin. Though I already I've admitted Dr. Stephen, but we will give another introduction once he's ready.
Yes.
Okay, so Maki, kamusta ka? Of course, mamaya ko na po yung full introduction sa ating guest. Baka mamaya ay pag-usapan natin.
Are we on live?
Yes, we are already live.
Okay.
We will just wait for Dr. Stephen before we formally start the program. But for everyone's information, if you have questions on how to practice medicine in the US, please feel free to ask by, of course, commenting in this episode, or you can also send a direct message to us. We will try to read it and ask, of course, to our guest tonight. Tama ba, Ms. Jean?
Yes, of course. Although we have ready questions already for
Ayan.
Stephen
Okay.
or Dr.
Hi.
C.
So now,
Dr. C. So do we call him
Dr.
C or Stephen?
What do you think, Dr.?
You can call me Dr. Steve. That's fine.
Okay. Before we start, Doctor, allow me first to give another introduction again. So good evening, everyone, and welcome sa Pinoy Facebook Live. Today's episode is extra special because of our distinguished guests and the possible opportunities for our kababayan. And we are actually very honored to have our guest tonight. Our guest for tonight is actually the program director of the Internal Medicine Residency Program of Catholic Health System and University of Buffalo. He's also the clinical assistant professor of medicine residency program of New York at Buffalo School of Medicine and Biomedical Sciences. So please all welcome our distinguished guest, Dr. Stephen Chenowski. Good evening, Dr. C.
Good evening. Over here it's morning. Good morning.
I know, yeah, it's good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for saying yes. And today we will also be joined by my good friend who was here, who joined us last January 28th, Miss Arlene Krysiak. Arlene,
Hi, good evening in the Philippines and good morning here in US. I know we have like friends who's watching us right now in the US too.
Okay, so thank you so much, of course, to the two of you for saying yes for tonight. We've actually prepared some questions because these are the questions collated from everyone. So we will be asking this to, of course, Dr. Chenowski and Arlene. And for those who are actually watching, if you have other questions, please feel free to share your comments or send us a direct message so we can ask it. So, of course, before we start, we wanted to ask Dr. Chenowski, how are you, sir? And I know it's very early now in the US. I hope you actually have breakfast. You had breakfast already.
Yes, I have. Thank you. It's not that early. We usually get started pretty early, right, Arlene?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
Ms. Jean, can you actually start first the questions before I just need to fix something?
Oh, hi. This is coming from good morning, Dr. Stephen. This is actually coming from someone who doesn't know anything about the medical profession. So my first question is that, for example, for a practicing medical doctor in the Philippines, what do they need to be able to get a medical residency in the US? Can you probably tell us more about the program that the University of Buffalo is offering to anyone who's interested?
Yeah, so to get into any program in the US, you need to apply to the ECFMG. And this is an organization that allows international graduates to come to the U.S. and you have to fulfill certain criteria to be able to practice here and train here. Namely, the biggest thing really is that you have to have passed some USMLE boards. So USMLE is the United States licensing exams, and basically the first two is what you need, and you want to show that you have some competency in those. And this is probably the biggest thing that you need to do.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I just follow-up question to that answer, Dr. C. The other question is, do you have like a specific criteria that you're actually looking for as in an applicant?
Yeah, so we take great pains to get the best in here that we can. First of all, we want to make sure that you're smart. The way we do that is we look at the medical school, we'll look at the transcripts to make sure you've got some decent grades. But primarily when it comes to the grades, we are going to look at this USMLEs. First off, we want to make certain that you have passed everything. And, you know, the higher you get on these scores, the more interested we would be to entertain taking you. After that, that's only the thing that has us start taking a look. We would want to know more about you. So we would look at any type of research that you may have done, you know, to progress medical science. So this might be things that you did in medical school or your residency back in the Philippines. So we want to see that you've done things that way. Additionally, we want to see that you've been involved in, you know, any activities that make you somebody we could rely upon. For instance, if you've done some residency and done good in residency over there, or if you've done well with the job even. So say you were busy, I don't know, in an accounting firm, or maybe even a fisherman. It really doesn't matter, just showing that you have the ability to take on responsibilities and complete tasks. This is very important, and we really take that to heart. Then, if that's okay, we then have you go through what we call the match, or the NRMP, and we have to interview you. And when we interview you, we get to know you and can tell if you would be the type of person that we might want to be in the program. Primarily, we're looking at people who are looking to be team players, working with the team, very, very interested in learning and expanding their knowledge base, and then working real hard. If you have all these, then you have a really good chance at being selected. When we do the NRMP match, what we do is we rank our candidates. So this year, we had over 3,800 candidates apply to our program. We interviewed about 200 of them. And what happens is then my associate program director and I, we go through all the interviews with these folks. We did 200 interviews, and we come up with a grade that we ascribe to each person. And then from there, we then rank the order of which we may want them. So because of the ranking system, we don't always get our first choice, because the candidate may also be picking a different residency program. So there's an interesting ranking program that we use, NRMP. For those who are watching, what you may want to do is Google NRMP and see how that works. And they have all these videos on there that shows a candidate what this entails, and all the interesting algorithms that go into place to make sure that everyone's getting the fairest choice that they can. So after all that, then hopefully we've hired a Filipino resident.
Yeah.
We then have them here in Buffalo.
So Dr. Chenowski, so we have Jason. So we have like 11 spots for categorical, right, Dr. Chenowski? And we have like 4 spots for prelim. So just so you know, prelim is for like who stayed here for like 1 year, and then categorical is for 3 years.
That's right. So for those who don't know, I mean, a categorical resident is somebody who wants to go into internal medicine, and then they may even want to specialize thereafter in internal medicine. So this might be like cardiology or pulmonology, or nephrology, one of these.
GI.
Whereas a preliminary are people who go into certain specialties that don't need as much internal medicine, but it's still important. And this might be folks in rehabilitative medicine or dermatology or anesthesiology, etc.
So, Dr. C, how many do you take in every year? Do you have a
So-
specific number?
Yeah, so we take 11 categorical residents and we'll take 4 preliminary.
So 15.
11 and 4. So
15 every year. Okay. From the 3,000 that you have right now.
okay. Dr. C, do you have an, is there an age limit for the applicants?
No, there's really no age limit. I don't think I've ever seen anyone under 23 though. It's just because there's so much schooling
Right.
that
Yeah.
goes to get in here. So I don't believe there's any age limit. I would imagine that there's some very brilliant people around the world who may be very young. We haven't seen any of those. It's all pretty standard folks, but yeah, no, there's really no age limit. The youngest I've seen is 22, 23.
And the oldest is how much, if you don't mind us asking?
Yeah.
Say again?
The oldest.
Oh, the oldest.
Because there might be people who want
What do you
actually
mean?
to apply. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to be very specific.
Boy, oh boy, let me think here. Probably.
Just don't mention the name.
Yeah, I think probably the oldest would have been in their early 30s.
Oh.
But I can tell you that there's another program in our town and they had someone in their 40s. So, you know, people change what they want to do sometimes in their life and they may start late. And we actually look upon that kindly in many ways, as long as that they're still willing to learn and show that they've been learning all along.
Right.
We're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, so I think yeah. So Dr. C, I think what about medical students? They have like how many years to study in the Philippines? Can they go straight and then apply? Do they have to get all these qualifications to get into your program?
And from what I understand, there is some mandatory internship in the Philippines. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
And,
yes.
I think it's a year. And then there's some licensing exams or board exams they have to take
Yes.
there. if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
Mhm.
And then, you know, if you've gone through that, then you can apply. And then, you know, what we'll be looking at are all those things we have mentioned before. You know,
Yes.
looking at all the things that you've done at your school there. But then again, too, you also have to take these USMLEs, parts 1 and part 2, and then we'll take a look at that as well.
Okay.
I had a question too. Like the last time I had an interview with, they were asking about do they need an experience or a rotation in any hospital in US to be able to consider even for like an interview?
Yeah.
So technically, no, but I can tell you that we will have a hard time taking you seriously if you haven't been here already, having some type of experience, right? So
Right.
invested in coming to a different country. It shows they're invested in doing the extra work to get over here and learn the system. There's a lot of interesting things that you get to practicing in another country, right? So there's not just language, there may be culture issues, locality issues, even climate, right? So I'm sure it's very warm and humid in Manila today. Here in Buffalo, what is it? I mean, 18 degrees, 19 degrees?
Yeah, it's even yeah. Yesterday it was like 8.
Wow.
So
Totally different from our
To
time.
get used.
Could be very overwhelming for a candidate. I've seen some folks that come from different areas of the world, including Pakistan and India, who struggled those first few months to just get used to things. So anyone who has experience coming over first to the U.S., just to at least get some of the cultural things down and maybe some
Right.
things and things, it's really, really helpful. So we have our second thoughts for people who've not been here before.
Okay. Dr. Chenowski, there was actually a question. What if he's actually married to a medical doctor also, and both of them actually wants to apply? Can they both be accepted in their program, both of them?
Yes, as long as they are both quality applicants. So the worst thing I could imagine is that somebody's accepted and another one's not, or maybe someone's accepted at our program and has to go to a different program. So, but yes, we have actually had married husband and wife here.
Yep.
Uh,
Yes.
it's a good thing usually.
Wow, that's good news actually for both doctors who are actually in this profession.
Planning, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so Jaisal, I have a question. So
Yeah.
let's talk about money.
Yeah, that's very important.
How much does it take for one to go to the US to get into the program? Do they need to pay something, or do they need to have some cash set aside while in the
Yeah, so
program?
that's a really good question. And it's probably different for different candidates. First of all, to apply to ERAS, there is a fee. I'm not sure of the fee. I don't know if you know what that is, Mike.
No.
Yeah, it's not a horrible amount, but indeed there's a fee, and then you can apply to as many programs as you can that way. With the advent of Zoom like this, the cost has gone down dramatically because
Right.
your interview process is we don't have to actually be at the site. So if you go back a year ago, if you're applying from the Philippines into the U.S., you would have probably wanted to apply to several different programs. So you would have had to book a flight to the U.S. and then fly back and forth to all the different programs that you wanted to do, and then all the hotel accommodations. And so literally thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars are all gone. Now we have Zoom, which is makes things a lot better for the candidate. So that's really eliminated a lot of the costs. And I suspect that you'll see that the ERAS is really supporting Zoom meetings in the future. So I suspect next year, even though there's no COVID or less COVID, that we'll probably be doing things like this for a long time, if not forever. So that helps. And then, of course, if you're going to be getting some experience in the U.S., there's the cost of coming over to work, or to do preceptorships and internships here in the U.S. Usually, we're going to recommend about 3 months of experience here in the U.S. So if you can get that, I mean, that looks really good that you've done really well. But the cost of working for our program, there is no cost other than what your apartment may cost, and if you have to have a car or these sorts of things, that you would almost anywhere you go, that would be the main cost. Otherwise, we pay you. I know that in the Philippines that's not always the case, but we here pay you. So if you come to work for a program, train at our program, you're going to be, I think it's about $52,000 a year, and then it goes up a little bit each
Yes,
year.
every year. Yep.
And so that's not a bad salary. That's actually like median income here in the U.S. So you're on par with many other people in the U.S. So you can actually have a fairly nice living.
And also yeah. And also, yeah, other than the salary that they get free insurance too. So that's another one benefits of being a resident here. You get like benefits, and there's like where they rotate at the Catholic health facility. So we have, as an employee, we have a lot of perks. We have a lot of like discount that we give to the employees, and we extend it to the residents too, like discounts and everything. And also being an employee of University of Buffalo, they get some discounts too that they provide to all the residents. So yeah, so basically what you're gonna be, if you're a match, if you're accepted to the program, like the accommodation, your house, your food, but you have your salary to pay for all that. So so yeah.
Because another question,
So
just a follow-up question to Dr. C and Maki. How about the family? If in case that they want to bring their families in the US, will the benefits be extended to the family? Are they going to be also be covered with everything that you're actually giving to the residents?
Yeah, so for health insurance, which is very important, healthcare can be very expensive, as we know. That there is family coverage. So if you are a physician who come to train with us, your husband or wife and or kids would all be covered with that plan.
So that includes
Wow.
if we have some residents too who gave birth during the
Mhm.
residency year, we will cover the newborn too.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's actually very good news. How about the schooling of the kids? Because there was actually a question if, of course, your company or your organization also assists those families with kids.
Yeah, so when you're occupying an abode, such as a home or an apartment, that is the school district that you're in. So there's many school districts in Buffalo, and so that district you would be able to go to school there for free. It is actually part of your taxes and things that you pay. You know, we always give recommendations to what are the best places to move because some school districts are better than others. And
Right.
so depending on, you know, how old your kids are, we may have some recommendations for that. So I always tell applicants before they move here, if they have kids, please let us know where if you have kids or not, so that we can tell you the best school districts to move to.
And I want to add to that too. So the school here, if you go to like public school, it's free. But some residents, if they prefer to send their kids to a private school, then you have to pay. So again, it depends on what your preference are. But yeah, there's like a public school, and we have like a private school and charter school too, which is free.
Yes.
Wow. Those are actually very good because, of course, since you give advices, that's very beneficial to the residents. Another question given is actually how about the visa? Will it be provided for free? And how about the visas for the family members?
Yeah, so typically if someone's going to come train with us, is with the J1 visa. I'm not sure of all the fees associated with that, but we do assist somewhat with that. It's actually UB. They have a division in human resources there where they'll be assisting to get visas when appropriate. For anybody who wants to come to work, who may be related or want to come over because of their family, there's other types of visas that are tagged onto that and make it easier to get those visas. There's something called an EAD. There's also a J2 visa. And that's getting into some legalistic stuff, which I don't know all the issues, but I can tell you that many times we'll have relatives coming over on these types of visas.
Oh,
Mhm.
Okay, so let's say that there's someone who passed the program, but he has no relatives in the US. Do you provide any such kind of assistance, to help him get into the community?
So the biggest thing is that we have involvement right from the get-go with some just trying to get people to understand one another and know each other better. We have a picnic early on in the year
oh.
to just so people can meet people. Very hard and very overwhelming. Frankly, you're very busy as an intern, and there's not much time. That intern here
Socialize.
could be having a lot of socialization, although they do. I can tell
Yes.
you that they get together frequently, and I'm always astounded at the nationalities and different folks that get together. It's really kind of neat. That's what's great about the U.S. You have all these different nationalities coming in, and you'll see Indians with Pakistanis with Sri Lankans and Sri Lankans with
Asians, yeah.
Asians. It's a
Yeah.
wonderful thing, and I love that. That's pretty cool. That's always U.S. personified, and very proud of the U.S. for that. But the people in our program, I really must say, are very friendly. I think Arlene could say that, and Dr. Harsha, my associate program director, and myself, we really look very hard, and they won't tell you about all of our ways of looking in the interview to know that someone's going to be that way. But I think we've done very well that way, that people like to work together, and they really enjoy one another's company. So it's not as hard as you think. Because a lot of these folks are also in the same boat, basically. That
Yeah.
they from a different
Yeah.
country, and they know that that people need assistance from one another, and they do. They help one another.
And
Wow.
we have like sponsored activities too. I'm sorry. We have like program sponsored activities, kind of like sponsor like 3 to 4 activities or events every year.
Mm.
So during that time, the residents get together and know each other. And sometimes they have their outside, like events too that they organize among themselves. So yeah, we're kind of like confident that our residents are close to each other. Early on, like they're not because they're kind of like new, but they work together, like when they go on a rotation to like Mercy Hospital or Sisters Hospital, you build a relationship. So they're, we're proud to say they're close to each other, and they help each other if there's any
That's
emergency.
nice.
Yep.
Very
Yeah,
good.
that's one reason why we really pay attention to people who want to work as a team, because you do spend a lot of time with each other, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
It's,
They don't have a
lot.
choice.
Yeah. I'm very proud of them. The interns this year, we have 15 residents, and we represent 10 different countries, believe it or not.
Wow.
There's 15 residents, and they all get along very well.
Do
Wow.
all of those 15 interns get to graduate at the end of the 3 years? Has there
So,
been has
yeah,
there
so
been a time when when one or
Yeah.
two
yeah, so the 4 of those 15 will graduate after 1 year, right? Because that's the preliminary track.
Yeah.
And they will graduate with our 3rd years at the end of the year. So typically it's every late June. We'll have a graduation time, and so our 3rd years will graduate and go on to become attending physicians or fellows if they want to specialize. And at the same time, we'll have our preliminaries graduate so that they can go on to their respective programs, whether that be dermatology or anesthesiology or whatever.
But
I,
was
gue- I
there?
guess,
Yeah.
yeah, go
But my
ahead,
question
Jake.
was that
Yeah.
my question was that sorry my question actually was that, has there been a time when out of those say 11 or 4, they were not able to finish the program, they just
They
up and
failed.
left?
Yep.
Or
Yeah, they failed. Yeah.
yeah, they failed. Yeah, that was actually my question too.
Yeah, so is it possible that somebody fails? Yes, it is. I've been doing this since 2011, involved in medical education here at Mercy. There's really only been one person that almost failed, and we came very close to discharging him. There are a lot of things set up to protect the residents so that they're not what's the word I want to use, so that it's fair. So University of Buffalo is involved very much, and they actually have almost like a trial in some ways, almost like a court case involving a lot of the faculty and and staff of the UB, that's University of Buffalo. And the idea is that we're as fair as we can possibly be with these residents. So this young man who came through was intransigent. He basically was not doing what he was told, and he was arrogant about it. And frankly, I feel that he was very lucky that he was able to stay on and be with us, because I actually recommended at that time that he be let go. As well as Dr. Woodman, who was the program director at that time. But UB let him stay on, and we abided by those wishes. And we basically helped him through. And by the end, we were all shaking hands, and we were doing well. He went on to become an attending in Missouri, which is a state here in the U.S. And I had some communication with him thereafter, and he was doing well. So sometimes we have things set up where we have one opinion, and there can be multiple different opinions. And so everybody's opinion has to be taken into account before someone is let go. So in the end, no one was ever let go. I'm happy about that because I'm glad that this person who had so much investment in himself and in the U.S. Was able to go on and become an attending somewhere in the U.S.
I want to add too. So with my previous, conversation with them, I was telling them that, like even from the start, we would evaluate our residents. Like that's why we have quarterly meetings. So we kind of like gauge where the residents are. They have a mentor. They meet with their one mentor. That's their advisor. So Dr. Shanowski and Dr. Parashar APD kind of like evaluate their performance every quarter each year. So if they think that, okay, you know what, this person needs more of this training or of this, they kind of like know what the problem with the resident that they need help with. Dr. Shanowski and Dr. Brashal will be able to tell and kind of give them advice on what to do. So, so basically, as since I become part of the program, I don't I don't remember anybody who did not pass or who did not graduate. Yeah, yeah,
So most
Right.
people want to become good doctors in the end. So everyone tries very hard, and it's pretty evident what you have to do. The ACGME is very clear. There's 6 competencies that you have to achieve, and you have to show progression throughout your 3 years to show that you can go on and become an attending. And in the end, we make recommendations if you're ready for unsupervised practice. In other words, be able to practice individually on your own. And so each year we look at that to make sure that people are progressing in these 6 competencies. And the resident always knows because we meet with you frequently. And if you're not, we do something about it, and we try to make it so that you do that. The biggest thing that we'll see is that we really want to make sure that that medical knowledge is good and that you're practicing well with others. Again, this comes down to the original interview date when we're trying to make a determination if you can practice in a group and have good teamwork.
yeah.
Then after that, we want to make sure that you're progressing with your medical knowledge. So there's all kinds of didactics and things that we have to help with that.
Well, that's actually a very good one, Miss Jen, because some people are actually afraid that they may fail later on or they might fail later on and they will be sent back, of course, to the Philippines
Such
after
support
spending
from them
this
would
much.
be it's good.
I
Yeah.
gotta say it really takes a lot to fail.
That's correct. Yeah. Mhm.
The biggest thing if you're a person willing to work, we're going to try and help you the best we can. We really know that there's a lot of effort that one put up to get to this point, and we really want to help you get to your dreams.
I
Okay.
just remember many of our Filipino doctors actually go to the US to be nurses. And then I don't know what happens to them afterwards if they have, reverted to being doctors. And I think this is one way to know to have them go straight as medical doctors, right?
I would say try. The worst that's going to happen is we don't take you, right? Or someone else doesn't take you, and you won't know until you try. I would tell you there's a lot of smart people that I've seen from the Philippines, and I can think of some excellent doctors right here in the U.S. that are my colleagues who I just think are phenomenal physicians. And have some confidence, apply to the program.
Right.
Thank you for that. Doctor, another question was, what if they're actually married to a nurse and they applied in your program? Can the wife be given, of course, a nursing position, or can Mercy Hospital help them also to get like a position for their wife?
Yeah, so I'm not sure of all the rules for that. I'm going to say probably if you have what we call an EAD passport, not passport, visa, and that allows you to do some work because it's tied into that. Then there's other types of visas where they may not allow that. So again, that's not my expertise, and I always refer folks for these really complex questions, to their visa
Mhm.
specialist, etc. I know that sometimes for certain types of visas, like H1 visas, that the institution would actually have to put in monies to have you come in. And many institutions don't want to do that because it's an extra cost. Whereas some people or some areas in the U.S., they may be willing to do that, where they're really trying hard to get more people to do work. So here in Buffalo, that is not the case. So usually you'd have to be working on some other type of visa. So I know it's not the best answer, but I don't want to give you a misinformation.
It's actually better than, of course, than giving false hopes, because some people might actually think that they can go together with their wives, and at the end, and when they reach, of course, the United States, they will not be working too.
It should be bad, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And another question, because we've actually gathered questions as mentioned a while ago. Another question is, as a program director, Dr. Chenowski, what exactly are you looking at in an applicant?
Yeah, so the first thing is, again, that you have appropriate training, of course. And so generally most folks who've gone through medical school, that's good. We want to see that you've done well in your school. So certainly not just passing, but, doing above average. We'd like to see that. The next thing is we look at those USMLEs, 1 and 2. We want to see that you've passed both of those. But again, the higher those grades, the better off will be. And then from that, once you're able to have done well there, we want to make sure that you have the ability to take on responsibility. And again, like I said, it's really good to see that if you've had a job or if you've done really well, you've been able to come to the U.S. and show that you've been able to do a good observership and get a good letter of recommendation, then we'd be very, very interested. And then, once you got into the application and we've accepted your application for an interview, again, then it's mostly at that point you've done all the hard stuff. Now it's just we're making sure that you're the type of person that we want here. And again, the type of person we want here is someone who's very, very invested in improving themselves and being part of a team and trying to be a better clinician. So this is what we want to see.
And how long is the normal processing for the entire program before you can actually join the residency proper?
Yeah, so I think, as long as you've had your experience of passing the appropriate boards in your country, then if you've been able to have like 3 months of experience here, I think that's fine right there. You could just start coming over and we'd be very interested at that point. So, there's really no long time span that's needed. Typically, you'll see that most people are trying to work on things, as far as the observerships or even some work back in Pakistan. Maybe they're acting as a house officer somewhere while waiting to come here. The last thing you want to do is be stagnant and not doing something. You always want to be improving yourself even after graduation. And this might be research, it might be working in a clinic, it might be working in an ER or any hospital, etc. You always want to be busy. I will say that. The last thing that Dr. Parashar and I want to see is that you've done nothing with time. No one wants to see someone wasting time.
Right.
So when do you start accepting applications?
Yeah.
Or can doctors just send you the applications every time?
In ERAS.
It's when ERAS opens up, right? So, Arlene, what is that? Is that August usually?
I think, yeah, August, September.
Yeah, so it's usually late August, early September. I think it was a little bit off this year because of COVID. So that's why I'm probably not remembering exactly. But essentially, that's when we start taking applications. And then we start reviewing day one that they open up.
Yes.
Because there's so many applications.
And then our interview starts November?
Yeah, so
2nd or 3rd November.
Yeah, so typically we usually would have started in late October. This year we started a little bit later, again, because of COVID, and it was November. So that usually that first week of November we start.
And then January, like second week of January, first week of January is the end of the interview. And then the match is in March. Correct, Dr. Chrzanowski?
That's correct. Yeah. Today, ironically, is a very important day for the program. We are actually doing our final rankings. So as I
Yeah.
said, 200,
Oh.
we've gone through all of them, and we think we know our ranking list. But Dr. Parashar and I, we're going through one last time today.
Except one.
Yeah. But that's a long story. We do that today, and then we'll put them into the NRMP as a ranking, and then we assess our fingers and hope we get everyone we wanted. So we'll see.
So between March and then January next year, they will be doing all the processing of their papers and the SMRE. Is that it?
That's right.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
So basically, they have like 18 months to prepare going to the US. Okay. So,
Yeah, so everybody's different. So, I've had some applicants who have worked for a couple years in a hospital or a clinic even, and then they're now applying to our program now. Or some people come right out of medical school and have had enough experience in the US, like the 3 months that we said, and we're interviewing them then. So I had some people who've graduated as far back as 2014 that we interviewed this year, and they've been very busy doing other things like research or working in clinics or hospitals, etc. So typically that's unusual for us to look at folks who graduated so long ago, but we do it. It just shows you that we look at a lot of different criteria. And so this is why I tell anybody in the Philippines right now who's interested, please apply. You never know. We may want to interview you.
That's right.
Oh, that's actually very good news. Jen, do you have a question before I ask another one?
yeah, actually, I'd like to know if there has been have you had an experience where someone has applied so many times and then he gets thumbs down, and then he applies and then he got in.
Yeah, so I can't imagine the disappointment you have when you're turned down like that. And that has happened many times. In fact, we've interviewed some people twice. In other words, one year they didn't get them in, and then the next year they're still looking, and then we'll interview them the next year, and then sometimes we've taken them. Why? Because during that time where that year, they've gone on and done other things that made themselves look even better, right? So this is why I was saying never
Right,
sit,
yeah.
never wait. Always keep doing things to make yourself look better. And it's that's life anyways, right? Why would you want to sit? Keep moving and keep improving yourself.
And never waste your time.
Never
You said
waste your
that.
time. Yeah. Doctor, how about if there's actually a doctor at 50 years old and still they want to apply at your program? Is that still possible?
It is possible. We would definitely take a look. We'd want to take a look and see what have you been doing in the last 20 years or so that makes you show that that you really want to be here in the U.S. B, what have you been doing in the meantime to improve yourself, right? So sometimes you get into a practice and you just do the same thing over and over again. Not that that's a bad thing, but if you want to go on for further training, well, why? We're going to ask that question. What is it you're trying to achieve? Why do you want to come here and do residency all over again? You've been practicing so successfully, right? So these are questions that we'd want to have answered, understand. And you may have a very good answer, and we say, "Oh, we want you," and other times we may not hear that, right? And so it's a very, very individualistic thing, but this is why we do interviews, right? So that we can find these types of things out. You won't always find these things out by reading all these papers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's actually very good news, because there was actually a question simply because they saw it in ERAS that there's actually that you have that for you to apply you must be a graduate of say at least 5 years, or you have graduated in the past, say, 5 years.
It was actually
it was actually in ERAS, I guess. That's
was
why
it? No, I think it was in our website.
Yeah.
Our
'cause I
Catholic Health
believe-
website.
So
Yeah.
there was like a certain requirement. So
I don't believe the US does that. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. I'll have to double check that, and maybe we can send you a communication back as a correction if so. But I've interviewed people who graduated from medical school as early as 2011 this
Oh.
year, and I've had a few in 2014, and last year we took somebody actually from who was originally from Iran, and she had graduated in 2014. So at that time, it would have been over 5 years, and we have her. She was through ERAS, so I'm not so sure that's a correct statement.
okay, that's actually good news to people at a certain age who still want to go to the US and practice medicine.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Ms. Jean, do you still have
So
questions?
just like, yeah, can we go back to about the program? Can we talk about the program? You mentioned earlier, Arlene, that there are 30 modules, and then can you tell us more about University of Buffalo, and then where would the medical doctors be training in their hospitals? How many hospitals under the university? Can you tell us more about it?
So yeah, so our academic year. I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Go ahead, Dr. Chenowski.
Dividing it up into modules. So modules 4 weeks, so 13 modules per year. And this is a good way to keep everybody in line so that everybody's doing the same thing at the same time, because it can change what one person considers a month, another one may not. So we do
Right.
modules. But the first year, a lot of it is ward service, like working with the general medical population. You will work at Sisters Hospital, so Sisters of Charity, that's in downtown Buffalo. And then there's also Mercy Hospital Buffalo. You'll work there, which is in the southern part of Buffalo. And then you will also work at the VA Medical Center, which is on the east side of Buffalo. So you get these different experiences that you'll work at. The first year, you'll also work in the ICU for at least 4 weeks, up to 6 weeks in the ICU. That's at Sisters Hospital. And there you're taking care of yourself. We also have time for electives. This means specialty education. So you may decide you want to go work with a nephrologist for a while, or a cardiologist, or a endocrinologist, etc. The idea is that you're getting some more specific information about some of the subspecialties. That second year, you do very much the same thing, except now you are the one leading the charge, so to speak. You are kind of leading the team. And so again, you'll be working at the Sisters Mercy and South Buffalo, at the VA Medical Center. And that year too, you'll also be getting a little bit more intensive care. We had to go up to some place called Kenmore Mercy, which is one of the Catholic hospitals. And you're working one-on-one with an attending physician, so you're learning quite a bit. And it's a little bit less stressful because it's just you and the attending, and that's a good thing. You don't necessarily have to lead the team, but you're learning more about critical care. And then that same year, you also have a mandatory neurology rotation. This is mandated by the ACGME. And so for 1 month, you're working with the state at Mercy Hospital. It's a New York designated stroke center, so we have some very awful, terrible strokes coming in here. And this is where you want to learn. We have some of the worst cases that have been in. All you have to learn to take care of stroke patients. And then at the third year, it's again some more time, but a little bit less clinical time. You get to serve some administrative tasks as well. So you have to basically run the program a little bit. And for 2-3 months, you designated as a chief assistant, and then you help out the program with administration of didactics and even tests and things like that. And the idea is that you're learning what happens behind the scenes and what happens on administrative work. Also that year, you do geriatrics rotation, where you're working with the elderly, and you're leading do that through the VA medical center. That's also ACCME mandated. Then hopefully, by the time that those 2 years are over, you're graduating and you can go on into fellowship or become a somewhere. And it's a happy day when you graduate. So,
Actually, those 13 modules, you get all the residents get 1 month or 4 weeks vacation. So technically, they just work like 12 modules because that 1 month or 4 weeks, they're on vacation and that's paid too. It's a paid vacation.
Okay. What happens to the visa after the residency? Do they need to apply a new one, or can they still use the J1?
So you can use the J1, you can renew it, but now you have to make stipulations to the appropriate authorities, what you're doing, where you're going, and you have proof that you're doing it, right? So they're very careful that way. And every year I have to sign off on certain papers supporting that they're going to a certain fellowship or a certain area of the country where they're going to do work, and we support you that way. But yes, you have to still do some more visa work. Once you're here and they have a certain type of visa, it's a lot easier to maintain a visa than it is to gain one. So typically I don't hear many problems changing over to fellowship. It's usually pretty easy from what I've seen, as long as that you have all the appropriate paperwork and everything.
Is there a lock-in period after you finish the 3 years, the 1 year and the 3 years? Do you have a lock-in period with these doctors? Like they have to serve under your hospital system for like times 2 of that or 6 years?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So depending on where you're going and what type of visa you attain, so say you have an H-1 visa, which is a very common visa for working. So after you graduate our program, you may get an H-1 visa. I believe that most institutions are going to want to lock you in because there's a
Yep.
cost, right? They have to put the monies down for you to come, and they want to be certain that they have you for a while. So typically it's 2 or 3 years that this would be, that they lock you in. Otherwise, if you become a citizen, there are some cases where you sign a contract, they may lock you in that way. So even if I go to apply to a certain hospital, they may make me sign an agreement that they're going to lock me in for 2 years or 3 years. But if I do decide to leave early, then they may say, oh, well, you can't practice in Buffalo. So I may be free to go to Philadelphia or Washington or wherever, but they may say I can't practice in Buffalo at that point. That's not every case, and that doesn't happen, but there's all kinds of ways that they can sort of restrict where you're going, and you just have to look at your contract. By the way, that's one thing that I'll do with my residents when they're going off into the job environment. I'll look at their contract with them and we'll discuss it. Say, well, look, they want you to do this, so do you know that? And this is what it means. And we kind of go through the contract with you so that you know what you're getting into. Dr. Parashar does that as well. So.
Because related to that, Miss Jenna, my question also is, what if like a doctor wants to stop and discontinue the residency program? Will he or she be charged?
Yeah, so that would be a horrible thing for everybody, right? So you have so many people counting on you, your fellow residents, etc. And there's a finite amount of work, which is a lot. And then anybody who's out of the program, it just sort of adds work for everybody else. So
Right.
this is one thing that we really would be very disappointed in. I can tell you that we would really discourage. The point too, if you're here on a visa, then there's a good chance you'll lose your visa status because you really should be learning, etc. There's also some interesting things too that protect not just the resident, but also protects the program. So NRMP makes you sign an agreement. Okay, so when you put yourself into the match and you get matched with a certain program, that's an agreement then at that point. And NRMP also bolsters that agreement. So if you do not finish with that program, you will not be able to go to another program in the U.S. At least to the match, and you would have to scramble and try to find a place that would take you. But most places would not. They would look at you and say, "No way, we want no part of you."
Right.
because we've already done something for another program. So that would be a very bad thing, not just for the program, but for the resident. They're really
Bad record.
sort of putting themselves in a bad position.
Mhm.
It would be much better to do this. So say you're in a program, say you didn't like the program, and you could easily say,
Continue.
yeah, you could say, you know what, this doesn't seem to be working out, and may I go and see if I can go to another program. So say you wanted to go to New York City, and now you've finished your first year, okay? And you can say, hey, I want to go to New York now. Well, now what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a position where if you say I'm going to resign at the end of my second year, you want to let the place know and sort of at least gives them some time to recruit for that position. But this could be very messy too, and there's oftentimes a lot of bad feelings, and the people taking you, they're not sure what they're getting as well.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
I can tell you that usually doesn't work out very well, but once in a while it'll work out. But sometimes there's reasons, right? So there's illness or some type of thing came up where it's just maybe there's something that they have to go to another city or whatever. But it's very, very rare, and we were really discouraged that. We really want to try to finish your 3 years.
Oh, how many Filipino doctors have graduated in your residency program?
A lot.
It's been a long time, right? Arlene, this is one reason we're on with you today. We want to see more Filipino.
We have a lot of like doctors, and some of them are working at Mercy Hospital right now. They're now attending. They're now attending. So not only at Mercy and Sisters too, right, Dr. Chrzanowski?
Yeah, the history is really interesting. If you look at Catholic Health, it really is a sort of a new entity, right? It became Catholic Health in about, what was it, 2003? Something like that. These different Catholic hospitals. I don't know if you remember the date. But, you would have a Mercy Hospital program, you would have a Sisters program, and then about 2003 they merged, and it became the Catholic health system, and then they combined those two residencies to form one. At that time, we had the Sisters program done by one program, and here was run by another program with it. This program at Mercy, where I'm sitting today, had a lot of folks from the Philippines, whereas the other program had a lot of folks from Pakistan and Iraq and also India, and then both had a smattering of American as well. And then they combined, and then the program director from the Sisters program took over. And of course, then he started doing a lot of things to make it more Pakistani, because that's who his contacts were. He was Pakistani himself. And therefore, since then, at that time, there was less and less people coming to the Philippines. So I over the last several years, have brought in people from all different areas of the world. And I think people now realize that we take people from everywhere. I think there's a perception years ago that all we would do is take people from, so, Iran and Iraq and Pakistan, as well as India. Whereas now people realize we take from all around the world. So we've had people from Russia, we've had people from
China. You're from China too, yeah.
Yeah. This year we've interviewed people from Mexico and
Yes.
South America and Indonesia, so all over. So this is good.
Caribbean.
Yeah, all over. And so now, of course, we're reaching out to our colleagues in the Philippines and say, come on over. We want to take a look at you and enjoy working with you.
Yeah, we hope that more doctors from the Philippines will join the program, apply for the program.
And I think we have some doctors too from the Philippines who are watching us right now, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we've actually invited a few doctors to join us tonight. However, some of them are busy and some actually are employed. Of course, they don't wanna,
Yeah.
of course,
They would
the concern of that.
shy to show
Yeah.
their faces. Yeah.
because they might lose their job now. So they actually send their questions.
So they're just sending the
Yeah,
questions.
they sent their questions. Those questions
Yeah.
asked were actually came from them. Correct, Miss Jenna?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the good news actually that was discussed tonight is this is actually open to everyone, not just from the Philippines, but also from other countries.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Jenna, do you have any other questions? Because I know that Dr. Chenowski is on for another meeting.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wondered, do you have a similar program for nurses?
Uh, I, I, I don't know anything about the nursing portion, but I'd have to refer to Dr. Darcy. He's my superior, and he knows a little bit more about nursing. But uh, the do you know anything about that, Arlene? About the
No, I don't think we have like a program for nurses, but they can rotate at Mercy. They can train in this like hospital because I think they need like a certain credit for like a clerkship or so there's no really like a program like a residency or something for nurses, but the
Just
hospital
apply
Catholic.
directly.
They can, yeah,
Just apply.
they can apply, yeah. I mean, they can go to the chsbuffalo.org website, they can apply. But one of the questions is, are you a resident of the US?
Oh,
Because
I see.
as I believe Catholic Health, they don't sponsor like visa. So they kind of like want like people who are already here and has
Already
a
in the
visa.
US.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay. Ms. Jenna, any more questions for Dr. Chenowski and Arlene?
Nothing for
None.
me. Just so nice to talk to you guys. And
Okay.
hope that more Filipino doctors are joining the program.
Dr.
Hopefully
Chen,
next
yeah,
year.
hopefully next year. Our last question would be not really a question. It's more of requesting a message from the two of you. Of course, to all the Filipino doctors, maybe you have a message, something to say. Of course, encourage them in case to apply at Mercy Hospital or Catholic Health
Catholic Health.
System.
My message would be that if you've done well at your medical school and you enjoy your work and you want to learn and you have an interest to come to the U.S., please try. There's no better time to try than now. The cost to do this is a lot less than it had been in the past. And again, ironically, due to COVID, we have all these things like Zoom now. And really a lot of barriers have been removed, and just have some faith in your teaching that you've been taught well. And if you have this a fire in your belly to do more, we really are interested in you, and just don't sell yourself short. You can do it. You're smart people to get into medical school to begin with, and please show some confidence, and life can be good to you. So, and we'd like to be good to you as well.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Chenowski. That's actually a very good message. Arlene, you have any message to our kababayans?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Chrzanowski for agreeing, for accepting this invitation to talk to our kababayan. So the Philippines, um, they have, when I had my first like Facebook Live, they have a lot of like people who are watching us, watch that show. So I'm sure this Facebook Live, there's a lot of doctors, a lot of Filipino who would watch this program. It's going to be on their website too. So with uh, Dr. Chenowski have shared a lot, information about this program. We would like to encourage, like the Filipino doctors or medical students who really wanted to apply here. This is really a good residency program. I've been in this program for 4 years, and I enjoyed, and I see them work hard and become an attending. So for the Filipinos and for all the people who are watching, even from other country, you can go to our website. Jay, so we can share to them the
Yes,
website of
please.
a
Yes,
Catholic
please.
Health residency program. And there's like a lot of information, how to apply, our modular requirements. You get to meet our staff, Dr. Chrzanowski, Dr. Prashar, Yvonne, and me, and some of our activities of our residents. So you will see how they enjoyed this program. The camaraderie. So thank you for giving us this opportunity. And yeah, and good night and good morning to people
Good
here.
morning there.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Arlene. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Dr.
Thank you.
Stephen.
Thank you so much. Of course, on behalf of the entire Ang Pinoy team, we would like to say thank you to Dr. Chenowski for agreeing and saying yes to Arlene, of course, to be with us tonight. And Arlene, thank you so much, of course, for helping and sharing this information to our kababayans here in the Philippines. So, mga kababayan, thank you so much again to Ms. Jean, Dr. Chenowski, and Arlene. Please visit our website, www.angpinoy.net. And this episode will also be uploaded in our YouTube channel, Ang Pinoy channel. So again, this is Chasel. Thank you so much, and we will see you again on Saturday for another episode of Kamusta Ka Kabayan. Our guest would be from Canada. So we will see you on Saturday at 8 o'clock. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Chenowski. Thank you, Arlene, and Ms. Jean. Thank you.